Welcome to our daily devotional for February 16th, 2021. Our verse for the day comes to us from the book of Hebrews, and this will be chapter 2, verse 11. So now Jesus and the ones he makes holy have the same Father. That is why Jesus is not ashamed to call them his brothers and sisters. You know, you and I, we can feel so alone when we're in the midst of challenges and suffering. But it's precisely at these times that it is so important for the follower of Christ to remember that Jesus himself told us he will be with us always. Now, at the time that the book of Hebrews was written, trials and tribulations in their lives were influencing the people in such a way that they were drifting away from their attentiveness to God through Jesus Christ. They were being called by the writer of Hebrews to recognize that and then to be alert and intentionally take action in renewing their enthusiasm and joy in their faith. Now, like them, we ourselves, we run the risk of drifting when the circumstances and situations of life bring us to places of discouragement, hurt, failure, maybe even profound weariness. It is just at such times that we urgently need to know that Jesus is with us as we struggle in our journey through life. Him having a level of compassion for us that only comes from the shared experience that he has of suffering and temptation. You and I, we're not invited to the throne of grace mentioned in Hebrews 4:16 because we're in some way worthy of it. No, instead, we're invited because Jesus has given us the opportunity to come in our weakness, in our temptations, and our failures. He isn't just waiting for us at the conclusion of our lives. In sympathy and help, he is with us all the way through whatever struggles we undergo. Now, what's the evidence that we need of why trusting in Christ is so important? Well, simply consider the discouragement that you and I experience, the loss of vitality and joy when we're in the midst of these struggles in our times of testing and trials, when we try harder and harder, but we just can't seem to achieve the success that we so much desire. In such a state, as we lose focus on Christ and we drift into unhealthy self-reliance while we count hurts and disappointments and sacrifice, we need to recognize that we are known, we are understood and loved beyond our imagination by the one who has already achieved victory and is with us always. Now, our passage for the day comes to us from Hebrews chapter 2, and I'll be reading to you from the New Living Translation of God's Holy Word. This will be verses 5 through 18. And furthermore, it is not angels who will control the future world we are talking about. For in one place the scriptures say, "What are mere mortals that you should think about them? Or a son of man that you should care for him? Yet for a little while you made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You gave them authority over all things." Now, when it says all things, it means nothing is left out. But we have not yet seen all things put under their authority. What we do see is Jesus, who for a little while was given a position a little lower than the angels. And because he suffered death for us, he is now crowned with glory and honor. Yes, by God's grace, Jesus tasted death for everyone. God, for whom and through whom everything was made, chose to bring many children into glory, and it was only right that he should make Jesus, through his suffering, a perfect leader, fit to bring them into their salvation. So now Jesus and the ones he makes holy have the same Father. That is why Jesus is not ashamed to call them his brothers and sisters. For he said to God, I will proclaim your name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you among your assembled people. And he also said, I will put my trust in him. That is, I and the children God has given me. Because God's children are human beings, made of flesh and blood, the Son also became flesh and blood. For only as a human being could he die, and only by dying could he break the power of the devil, who had the power of death. Only in this way could he set free all who have lived their lives as slaves to the fear of dying. We also know that the Son did not come to help angels, he came to help the descendants of Abraham. Therefore, it was necessary for him to be made in every respect like us, his brothers and sisters, so that he could be our merciful and faithful high priest before God. Then he could offer a sacrifice that would take away the sins of the people. Since he himself has gone through suffering and testing, he is able to help us when we are being tested. Yes, and as always, may God give us what we need from the reading of his holy word. Now, suggested additional readings for today's devotional come to us from the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 25 through 30, and the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verses 14 through 16. Blessings to you and yours from the Ione Community Church.